Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Handmade Homestead. It's Angela Allen, and today I want to talk about fruit on a micro homestead. Let's go. We're able to grow about 70% of our food, and that does include fruit. So let's talk about fruit. We've only been on this property for about 5 years. Christmas Eve will be 5 years here. We have done a lot. When we moved in, it was basically a house with property around it that looked like a golf course. There really was no landscaping. There was no gardening. There was nothing but a great big square backyard. Lucky for us, part of that is very, very sunny. Well, most of it is really sunny. We do have a tree line in the back that provides a lot of privacy, but it also does provide some shade back there too, which is good for some fruits, not so good for others. And I will take you and show you that, but I'm going to post a couple of pictures here of what the property looked like when we started in the back, and here of what the property looks like now, right now, in fact, with the garden kind of waning. It's had a very busy summer. We've been pulling out a lot of plants and stuff, but I'm going to take you around, show you the fruit trees that we have. We do grow berries. We do grow citrus. We do grow stone fruit and some apples. And yeah, you can see what we have on this little piece of property, how we have it set up, and maybe it'll give you some ideas for yourself. You don't have to be 20, 30 years old on a 50-acre piece of land. You can grow in a small space, in your backyard, in your side yard, in your front garden bed if that's all you have. You can grow food for yourselves. You can grow food in your house, in a closet with a grow light. So let's go. Let's take a little walk around. I'll show you a little bit of what we've got growing. All right, come on. A couple of our citrus trees right over here on the side of our driveway, because it gets sun all day long from very early in the morning until the sun goes down at night. It does get really good sun. So this is a kefir lime. This one in the middle is a lemon tree, and this one on this side is a mandarin orange. Let's get a little bit closer. Kefir limes have a very interesting leaf. They have like an extra 2 lobes down there. And these are used in a lot of Asian cooking. You can use the leaves, and the fruit is also edible. There's no fruit on this one right now. This one was gifted to me. It had a lot of aphids on it, so I cut it way back, spent the whole winter trimming it. It's just now starting to grow out. Some of these branches will get pruned back a little bit, but when you prune citrus, you lose fruit. So if you're growing citrus or about to, keep that in mind. They do take a lot of feeding. They do take a lot of water. All 3 of these will be going inside as the weather gets a little bit cooler. I'm expecting the lime to produce fruit next year. It does have a history of having fruit on it. So this is a Meyer lemon. I have a very talkative chicken near me. So this is a Meyer lemon, and this does produce fruit every year. Right in here on the windows behind, there is a big window seat, and that's where they spend the winter. It's very sunny. This is my weaving studio in here. But I wanted to just show you that this Meyer lemon does produce fruit. There's a lemon here. And as you can see, another lemon there. It produces fruit really well, and we really enjoy that. You can see there's a couple of them more. Oops, down here. I don't know if you can see these. Here's one. Another one right below it. I don't know if I can get you to see that from here. Anyway, this is a mandarin orange. It hasn't fruited yet. It's a young tree. I'm expecting it to start fruiting maybe next season. We'll see. We're going to keep an eye on it. Isn't that a pretty sight? Okay, let's go out here on the deck. Green stalks. If you don't have a green stalk and you have any room at all, even just a little porch, you should get at least 1 or 2. They are just wonderful to plant in. So both of these green stalks are a mixture of herbs and strawberries, being mostly strawberries. I have two different kinds of strawberries in here. I can't for the life of me remember what kind they are. They are ever-bearing. I do like to do ever-bearing strawberries. I'd rather have a few regularly than a whole bunch at once and then none. So when the strawberries are low, say here down, my dog will pick them. Now it is mid-September and there's still flowers and there have been some strawberries off here. But this one here is almost all strawberries. I don't think there's anything except for this lettuce seed that fell in there. But this one is a little bit of everything. It's strawberries for sure. You can see. But there's also thyme. If I turn this in the sun, you can probably see it more. There's thyme in here. This is parsley. There's a bunch of herbs in here, more parsley. I did have lettuce in here. I let it go to seed just so I could collect the seeds. So there's also some kale in here. Grows really well in here too. So this has got some sage down here too. So everything's kind of at the end of the season, but I am still harvesting some stuff out of here, and we're just really enjoying that. We love green stalks. So green stalk, fig tree. This over here is a lemon, a really big lemon. I'll show you that in a second. So fig trees, we have about a dozen fig trees. This just happens to be one of them that I bring in all the time. I've had it for a number of years. I don't want anything to happen to it. It has kind of a story behind it that my husband and I find funny. So we bring this in every winter. It first comes in end of September. When it starts getting cool, we bring it into our sunroom, which is right in there. Right now it looks like a workshop because I've got some stuff going. But that's where it stays until it starts to get really cold, and then we bring it actually into our house. Last year I didn't bring it in fast enough into the house, and it did. We had this weird freeze, and all of a sudden it killed the tree back. So you can see the main trunk is still there. So it goes right up to here. This was a lot bigger than this, but it was quite a sturdy trunk, but it did die back. The thing is with figs, especially in New England, they will die back every year. If you plant cold hardy ones, they will come up again in the spring, and this is what you get. They start coming up like this, and then you cut those shoots down to just a few. Fewer is better. And once they get going and they come up enough, they will fruit. You see that? So this has quite a few fruits on it. And we have, like I said, we do have a dozen fig trees. The back line of our property is planted with them. And they are covered in figs. And I'll show you that when I go down there. I'm hoping that they will mature enough for us to actually be able to use them. But there's quite a bit of fruit out here. Now let me turn around. I want to show you this lemon tree behind me. This lemon tree, because of that kefir by the garage, it had scale on it when it was given to me. It also affected this tree over the winter. This tree comes in every year too. This is a Meyer lemon tree. I have had this tree since my daughter, who was about, I think she just turned 30, so she was maybe about 3 when I bought the thing, and it was nothing more than a slip with 3 or 4 leaves on it. So I've had this Meyer lemon for a very long time. You can see by the trunk of it. It's an older lemon tree. This is very difficult to bring in each year, but we do. Again, like the fig tree, this is brought into the sunroom. And then it gets pruned, obviously, to make it more able to fit. And then it spends the winter in our living room in our big front sunny window, which again, it is big and it takes up a lot of room, but we've been babying that tree for a long time. It does give us fruit and it has some memories with it, so we just love the tree and we take care of it because it's one more of my plant children, I suppose. We're going to go down into the yard so you can see. So off of our deck, we had this deck replaced after we moved in a couple of years ago. One of the things we did when we had this deck replaced is we had these stairs specially made for our dog. But it will also serve us in old age too. The stairs going down are very wide and they're set at a more shallow angle. So they're very easy to get up and down for when our dog is an old dog. Though he is very young, we wanted to make sure we were ready for that. So this is how our yard looks when you come down. The backyard here, this part of the yard is blackberries. They've all been cut back. Right back there behind the laundry is a mint garden. The only thing in that garden in the back corner, that little pocket garden, is mint and Egyptian walking onions. And I've done that specifically so as it grows out of the fence line, we can just mow it down. But that's the only place I have mint growing here in this little micro homestead of ours. This area here, those are new blackberries. There's actually 5 plants back there. 2 are doing extremely well. The others, so-so. And then from there down, that entire area, until you get down to about here where those rocks start, that whole area is fig trees. There's about, I think there's 11 trees in there. They are full of figs, but those are all trees I started from slips last winter. They got planted out early this spring when it was warm enough. So that is 1 year's growth, but they are still full of fruit. So that's very encouraging. They're all cold hardy figs. All 11 of them are different kinds of figs, and they will die to the ground each year. We will mulch them. They'll come up each spring. They should get quite large, but for now, there they are. I am going to take those blackberries out, move them. I don't think they're getting enough sun there. At the very end down there where you see the rocks, that's rhubarb. That rhubarb has a lovely story, and I will share that with you at some point. Those are our 3 compost bins. Garden space. I have a sink, outdoor sink. That's what that white is. And a bench. And then this is the garden. And then I have a little herb garden right down here at the bottom of the stairs. So let's go that way so I can show you the fruit that's in the garden. I always find it so sad when the echinacea starts dying off for the season. You are very noisy. These are 2 of my younger babies. These are Buff Orpingtons. They've only been laying for a few weeks. They're babies, which is hard to tell because they're so big. But we love them. They're very friendly. Our hens are all very friendly. We can feed them a lot. All right, so let's head over there, go to the garden so I can show you the trees. So this is me standing a little closer to the fruit trees. I'm in the middle of that arch you saw. So let's start at this end since it's easier. So this is one of the apple trees. You can see it's really healthy. I do prune twice a year. In the winter, I do my winter, that December, February prune always. And then come summer, we'll back up so you can see that tree better. That is 2 kinds of apples grafted on that tree. It's doing really well. It's super healthy. And that whole row right there, those are all fruit trees. I purposely planted them in the garden with the intention of keeping them super small because they don't have a huge garden space. Altogether with all of the gardens, we figured there's about 3,000 square feet of planting space. I wanted them to fit into the garden and fit into our lives. We never intend to let those trees get taller than maybe 8 feet, and our intention is to keep them down. I'm not trying to grow a huge crop of apples. I don't want hundreds of apples. We're a family of 3. Most of the vegetables and fruit are eaten by my husband and I. My son's not big on them. So that means if we get 25 or 30 or 40 apples, we're happy with that. We don't need more than that. Same thing with peaches, same thing with pears. I'm not looking to put up apples or put up peaches or put up pears necessarily. If I have extra, I will, but I don't feel the need to do that. I want them fresh eating, so we don't want these trees super big. So as you can see, the trees are planted about 6 feet apart. There is a method where you can plant like 2 or 3 trees in the same planting hole. And I didn't want them quite that close. I didn't want a big clump. I wanted a line. And I'm looking for that kind of English hedgerow kind of apple idea. So these, like I said, as soon as they drop the leaves, we get right into winter and everything's closed down. I will cut these down. You can kind of see in the canopy of this tree that it only usually cut it right about here. And I try to keep that size. So that's what will happen with all of them. But they're healthy trees. And like I said, sometimes we get fruit, sometimes we don't. This tree has always been a little bit smaller than its sister, but it's not a sun problem. They're in a position where they get plenty of sun. This is an Alberta peach. You can see the canopy is kind of weird because it was not great condition when we got it, but this is a Red Haven peach. If I had to do it over again, I would always grow a Red Haven peach. It's super productive, super prolific. It's been super healthy for us, and the peaches were divine. And this is my pear tree. It has a tiny bit of rust on it. It's just this year looking like a tree. And it's getting a little crowded out, but that will go away as soon as I prune. That's all I have for sweet fruits in the garden area. But let me show you the rhubarb behind me. That rhubarb right there in that patch, it's maybe 8 feet long. It's hard to tell from the camera, but my grandmother had a farm in Maine, a huge farm in my grandparents, and that rhubarb was growing when they bought that farm, and it's probably 150, 200 or more years old, these plants. When I moved here, one of my cousins was kind enough to send me some crowns from those original plants on the farm, and they're doing really well. They look kind of sad at the moment because I have heavily harvested them 3 times so far this year, and I could probably harvest them again if I do it pretty soon. They just are do or die. They're not a red rhubarb, but they are classic rhubarb flavor and sourness. I'll give you a look in here if we can get in here so you can see kind of what they look like. Yeah, they're doing really well. And we do enjoy them a lot. So this is my fig lineup now that I'm closer to it. You can kind of see it. I'm not going to tell you all of the names, but this one, these are one plant. This is another plant. As you can see, this one is just full of figs. You see them all on there? Hopefully they will all be able to ripen enough before it's too cold. And this plant is doing so well that I think what will happen is one of these will get restarted and go in the spot where one didn't do so well. One of the ones I planted didn't do so well. So this is so prolific, I think we want to encourage it. Same with this one. Look at the size of this plant. And again, it's got all kinds of baby figs coming in. And that just goes on and on and on. They're doing really well. This is a 6-foot fence. They're topping that off. Some of these are 7 feet tall. It's a very small fig, but it's super cute. And I purposely picked figs that were cold hardy, that will continue to produce fruit for years and continue to grow. And we're happy with them just filling up this whole space here all the way down. We think that we love the look of that. There is a fence that's just to keep the chickens at my feet, the chickens out of there. So now this, we did intend for all of the rest of this row to be blackberries, but since the canopy has grown in so much, we realized there's just not enough sun. And the sun starts over here in the morning and goes all the way over that way. And when it gets, about here in the sky, this is all sunny all day, but I still don't think it's quite enough. I also have blackberries and raspberries, in the very back space of the garden near the fence on the other side. So we do have quite a few blackberries. Last year I was able to put enough in my freezer that even with making a couple rounds of jam, we still have blackberries in our freezer, and I use them all the time. One of my favorite teas is blackberry leaves, blackberries, and cinnamon sticks. And yeah, we still have blackberries from last year. So we do have raspberries too, but they're not growing in as much. So this is my mint garden. There is a fence, and yep, it's growing outside the fence, but that's okay. That just gets string trimmed right down. The only thing in here besides the evergreens is this is orange mint in this area. This is apple mint in this area, and then right behind it, just because it looks good, I have Egyptian walking onions. There is a bird bath in here, but right now Triple E has been such a big problem here, and so is West Nile virus, that we just keep it empty. Every time it rains, we just tip it out every time. So it looks good, but we're not leaving water in it for now. So that's my mint patch. And I dry a lot of mint. My favorite 2 mints to drink is tea, and I dry it all the time. There's the garden. Back of our house. Yes, we do have our chickens right up next to our house. We only have 8 hens. They are pets that lay eggs for us. So we like to keep them near the house. Sunroom, which is the perfect little greenhouse for me because it's glass on 3 sides. And yeah, and we do have dogs, so we keep this yard open for them. One of them is a 160-pound bull mastiff, and then we have a little chihuahua. So they need plenty of room to run, as do the chickens. Chickens are only locked up at night. Other than that, they get to free range. This is the perfect amount of space to feed a very small family. You don't need hundreds of acres or dozens of acres or even an acre. You can grow enough food on a micro homestead to support a family of 4 really well. Thank you for joining me today. I would love to hear about your own experiences about growing fruit in your backyard or urban garden setting. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps so much, and we really appreciate it.